campus of the University of Oklahoma with head coach Bob Stoops for the latest stop on our Just Asking college football tour. We're so happy to be here. How much different does this week feel going into this game, coming off of a big win, as opposed to last week and the loss to Texas Tech?
Well, at the end of the day, once you get to Monday and you're going through your work week, it's you go through it the same. Obviously, it always feels a little bit better when you've won. When you lose, and we don't lose much, it hits you in the gut, and so you have to refocus and start again, and that's what we did a week ago.
It's so interesting. Your defensive coordinator, Brent Venables, said something really, I thought, interesting after the win against Kansas State. He said that your team had a sense of desperation in that game. Are the Sooners a more dangerous team now after losing a game?
Well, you'd like not to think so, but maybe. You're dealing with a lot of young people, 18 to 22 years old, and what all is going through their minds and what they're being fed from fans to families to media. It's hard to tell. I know for one game at least there last week we played really well when we had to in a tough environment away from home against a good football team. Now we have to do it again this week.
Does your motivational tactics as a head coach, does it change from when you're ranked #1 in the country to 3rd and then now 6th in the BCS polls?
I think you naturally it does to a degree, but not overall. I don't feel the really great teams rely on ploys or what other people are saying about them to motivate you on what you need to do. To me, it's more educating them on the qualities of the other team, why they're to be respected, how they can beat you, what do we have to do to counter that and to make sure that we win, and being aware of those things. And each week that's what we try and do, and as opposed to trying to let the outside world determine how we're going to be that week.
So it seems like you're an X's and O's guy. You're not a psyche guy. You're not going deep into the psychology of the whole thing.
Don't get me wrong. I understand there's part of it's there, but at the end of the day, again, these guys are bright, mature young men. You can't trick them into wanting to play. At the end of the day, it's what have you done through the week to be ready to play, and the kind of pride and determination you're going to show up with that day. A lot of it's depending on you as a young guy here in college playing a tough sport.
So now keeping your team on track, now the landscape of the BCS has shifted a little bit. You guys are #6 in that poll. It's still possible you could end up in the title game. Do you personally, even in your private moments, allow yourself to go through the scenarios and think about what would have to happen, which team would have to lose, what you'd have to do to possibly make it to that game?
Not at all. It's a waste of time. At the end of, again, what matters is what we do. I think it's obvious to everybody, my team, everyone around the country, just a couple of years ago, 2008, the two teams playing for the national championship were us and Florida. Both of us had a loss. Maybe the year before or 2 years before, LSU won with 2 losses. So there's a lot to still play for, and there's a lot that can happen. Everyone realizes that, but all we can do something about is what we do this week.
Who do you think is the #1 team in the country right now?
I'm not a media person that debates that over coffee, so that's up to you guys to do.
Let's talk about some of the storylines happening right now, and we'll start with Landry Jones. You've coached a Heisman winner in Sam Bradford. You had the runner-up and Josh Heupel. In your opinion, is Landry Jones of that caliber?
And let's not keep Jason White out, who also won the Heisman. He's very similar to all those guys in that he's a great leader, very tough individual that the players really like in the locker room. Hard-working guy that's talented. He's got a big arm to go with that hard work ethic.
Do you think that he and Ryan Broyles, just the pure numbers that they are putting up as a tandem, should they be getting more attention for Heisman?
Well, again, that's up to the people who decide to promote who they like to promote. But I'm pretty sure it's fair to say their numbers add up or are better than most everyone else out there, so they should be in the conversation, I would guess.
First user question comes from Louis Perrault, who says, I really like the infectious aggressiveness and tenacity your brother Mike brought to the Oklahoma defense. Now that he's out of a job, is there any chance you'd get him back as an assistant?
You never know. My staff is full right now, and they're doing a great job. But, from year to year, some of my guys may get head coaching jobs or move on, so you never know. Obviously, if there's opportunities, it would be great, but it has to be the right opportunity and the right case with the right position available, and that isn't easy to do. Mike will have many opportunities. He's already had several calls from people in regard to defensive coordinator positions and whatnot. So, so we'll just see.
What's the best and worst thing about coaching with a sibling?
Oh, the best thing is you get to share some great experiences together. Mike and I got to share Big 12 championships, national championship together with our families around. There isn't much of a worst part other than every now and then we might argue in a staff room like brothers as opposed to coaches, but that's not a big deal either.
Does that take everyone by off guard? I mean, that must be a little awkward for everyone.
Only for a split second, and then they get a kick out of it too. So they realize what's happening, so not a big deal.
Let's move ahead and look forward to your game against Texas A&M. They've blown late game leads in 3 different games this year. For you now playing them, is that something you would not want to emphasize to your players because they might expect an Aggies collapse if you find yourself in that situation late in the game?
Well, I don't think it's our strategy to go in hopefully behind late in the game. So no, I think with the point that's being made all week is look how well they have played in these games against really good football teams, and they've had more than anything a turnover or 2 is what's changed it for them. And you can't count on getting a turnover late in the game, and so the respect is there on how, the quality of teams they've played and how great those games have been, and they've just kind of had some misfortune in that with the player or 2 that they've came out on the wrong end.
This will be the last time that you play Texas A&M as them being a member of the Big 12. Losing A&M, losing Missouri, but gaining TCU. After all these changes have been made, is the Big 12 a better conference with the TCU than without those other teams?
Well, we gained TCU and West Virginia, right? So there's 2 teams who have had their share of wins. TCU's coming off a Rose Bowl win just a year ago. So I think it's fair to say those other teams coming in have done, have won a lot of football games and have excellent and great respect as the other ones. So I'm sure we'll be just fine.
I remember being in Nebraska last year, and as they were going through their final run through the Big 12, and then they were moving to the Big 10, they said, God, these conference games are so important. We just want to beat these guys for the last time before we leave the conference. Who has more motivation in this game? Is it the Aggies because they're leaving the conference, or is it you guys because you're staying?
I don't think it matters. All that matters is having a chance to be a conference champion this year. That's what matters. And anyway, fortunately, we got Nebraska in that last Big 12 championship game. So that championship game was pretty special, being that was the last one with them. That more so than just a regular season game.
Last question and our final user question. This one comes from Rachel. Coach, what areas with your football team concern you the most right now in order to continue to improve, win games, and compete for a national championship?
Well, I would say all areas, consistency and precision in the way we play. Any area gets inconsistent, you lack precision and either side of the ball, you're going to be suffering for it. So to me, it's just continuing to develop that kind of consistency we need to win, and that's in practice and in every part of the game and how we play.
Feeling okay now, though? I mean, we're only at 4 games left in the season.
Hey, it's Tuesday of game week, so I've got a lot of work to do, all of us, before Saturday. So you never feel any good until it's over.
Like a true coach. We'll let you get out of here. Let it get back to the film room. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.